water is the soul of the earth. Since the very birth of human civilization, people have moved to settle close to it. People move when there is too little of it. People move when there is too much of it. People journey down it. People write song and dance and sing about it. You would have heard even our Tamil Thai Vartha starts with a line devoted to our rivers and the seas. It is the driving force of all nature, and health of our water is the principal measure of how we live. The AquaMAP Center is going to be instrumental in creating a sustainable world for the future generations. So it is my pleasure to invite Professor G. Philip, Dean Planning and the Principal Coordinator of the Center, to deliver the welcome address.
Dear Professor Vijay Raghavan, Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India, Professor V. Kamakoti, Director IIT Madras, donors of AquaMAP, Dr. P. Balasubramaniam, he is attending online, and Krishnan Narayanan, distinguished members of Governing Body and Advisory Board of AquaMAP, they all are online, and Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, distinguished alumnus of IIT Madras, IITM alumni, colleagues from IIT Madras, students, partners and well-wishers of AquaMAP, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to this auspicious function. It is a proud moment for us that the Center of Water Management and Policy is being formally inaugurated by Professor Vijay Raghavan, PSA, Government of India. This center is different from other research centers related to water. There we develop technologies and processes to solve some of the existing problems. In AquaMAP, with the help of alumni, we would like to identify challenging and complex problems related to water existing in rural and urban areas of our country and provide win-win and scalable solutions, leveraging existing knowledge and technologies developed by us or elsewhere in the country with active involvement of alumni, government and other partners, organizations and institutions. And that's why we are not able to see anything in this lab. All our work is in the field. And more than 20 highly accomplished faculty from across the departments of IIT Madras are actively involved in the center. We have the blessings and wholehearted support from the office of PSA, and they will be engaged with us actively. IIT Dharwad is also our collaborator in this endeavor. We will be having more collaborators in the future as we make our journey. We are highly obliged to Professor Vijay Raghavan for kindly agreeing to inaugurate the center despite his busy schedule. As all of us know, he is highly passionate about rural India and its upliftment. I formally welcome Professor Vijay Raghavan to this function with a bouquet of flowers. We are very thankful to our director, Professor Kamakoti, for being there for us always, extending all his support and guiding us throughout. I formally welcome him to this function with a bouquet of flowers. I warmly welcome all other guests, colleagues and students to this function. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Liji. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Parasuram Balasubramaniam. Dr. Parasuram Balasubramaniam has been a consultant, group leader, CIO, CEO, and profit center head in the information technology industry in his career spanning 4 decades. He played an influential role in establishing India and India's analytics practice as a premier offshore service destination. He was instrumental in introducing higher quality standards for software delivery services and building up the skill sets of thousands of employees. He has worked in India, Jamaica, and the USA. He has been a guest faculty and invited speaker in numerous colleges, executive training programs, and industry fora. He is a member of the Enterprise Integration Consortium at Penn State University, USA, Board of Studies at RVCE, and MSRIT in Bangalore and CIT in Coimbatore. He is a founder trustee of Madurai School of Management in Vadipatti, Tamil Nadu. He is a proud alumni of IIT Madras with an engineering and management degrees. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Parasuram Balasubramaniam. Dr. Parasuram Balasubramaniam has been a consultant, group leader, CIO, CEO, and profit center head in the information technology industry in his career spanning 4 decades. He played an influential role in establishing India and India's analytics practice as a premier offshore service destination. He was instrumental in introducing higher quality standards for software delivery services and building up the skill sets of thousands of employees. He has worked in India, Jamaica, and the USA. He has been a guest faculty and invited speaker in numerous colleges, executive training programs, and industry fora. He is a member of the Enterprise Integration Consortium at Penn State University, USA, Board of Studies at RVCE, and MSRIT in Bangalore and CIT in Coimbatore. He is a founder trustee of Madurai School of Management in Vadipatti, Tamil Nadu. He is a proud alumni of IIT Madras with an engineering and management degrees and a doctorate from the School of Industrial Engineering at Purdue University from 1977, specializing in operations research. Dr. Parsuram is joining us online today to talk to us about the genesis of AquaMAP. Over to you, sir.
Respected Dr. Vijayaraghavan, Dr. Kamakoti, Sri Gopalakrishnan, professors, researchers, alumni, and friends. Good afternoon to all of you. The seeds for AquaMAP were sown in our minds about a year ago when Krishnan and I met to discuss the idea, as we believe that water is in the DNA of the society, ecology, and the environment. Our ensuing discussions with the expert faculty of IIT Madras, led by Professors T. Pradeep, Mahesh Panchkula, and Liji Philip, helped to sculpt and shape our ideas further. We noted the complexity of issues involved in water management. Our discussion led us to believe that it requires concerted and collaborative efforts, that innovative management practices that sit in between cost-effective technology and prudent policy and act as a glue on both ends is the need of the hour. We have preferred an outside-in approach of discovering the problems at the ground level and finding a systemic solution for the critical ones. We understood that technologists need to work together with social scientists, policymakers, administrators, and local citizens to define solvable problems, gather and use data to guide decisions, and collaborate to build consensus. We have defined the role of AquaMAP as a social engineering and research entity to evolve scalable solutions through proof of concepts as applied in a chosen or model geography. Once successful, the solution will be encapsulated and offered to the water management authorities for rollout across the nation. On the resource front, we have provided the seed funding to start AquaMAP and have chosen to build and execute a comprehensive alumni engagement model to leverage the time and talent available from thousands of alumni who are eager to contribute and play their role in societal development. Dr. Sapna Poti enriched our enabler system with her infectious enthusiasm. We are grateful to our alma mater and its expert faculty who have come forward to shoulder the responsibility. We thank the office of and the leaders from PSA who have lent their might from the word go, and many experts and industry veterans who have joined us as governing body and advisory board members. Finally, AquaMAP is an experiment with a difference. The lab is both physical and virtual, and the methodology is what needs to be innovated. Our aim is to make AquaMAP an integral unit of successful technology for societal purpose and an enabler arm of the government. Thank you and good day.
Thank you, Dr. Parsuram. We're very thankful for you being there and being a driving force behind this initiative. I invite our director, Professor Kamakoti, to share his thoughts on the center.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Water is something very, very important. There's no question about it. And there is a need for coming out with a proper regulatory mechanism, proper quality monitoring mechanism, and also a fair distribution mechanism. in irrigation, for example, I belong to a farming family. If we have a proper planning of irrigation, the paddy water consumption can be brought down by 1/20. And the reason today that type of a control is not there is because of a completely unknown mechanisms that we could put where technology can play a very, very important role. So I'm sure AquaMAP is going to play a very important role, and very interesting for us is that they're engaging our alumni. So we have been a lot of donor alumni we have seen. Now this is a unique project, I think, where alumni will be engaged in co-developing, co-collaborating with the IIT Madras, and it's a very, very welcome step. And I thank Mr. Balasubramaniam and also our dear Krishnan for all this initiative that has come up. Within another couple of years, with the able guidance of people like Professor Liji, Pradeep, and all the young faculty involved here, I'm sure we will make a difference. We'll make a difference in terms of policies. We'll make a difference in terms of setting up processes which will certainly address and give a quantifiable effect to the country on water management and water administration. With this, I wish this center all the success, and looking forward to more exciting things in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kama. It is my pleasure to invite Mr. Krishnan Narayanan, who is the Global President of the IIT Madras Alumni Association and a member of the Science and Innovation at Bharat Advisory Committee to the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. It's indeed my great pleasure in giving the introduction to Professor Vijay Raghavan. He is a distinguished professor in the field of developmental biology, genetics and neurogenetics. And before being appointed as the PSA, he has served as the director of the National Center for Biological Sciences. He's been the secretary of Department of Biotechnology. He is a fellow of the Royal Society, London, elected as a foreign associate of the US National Academy of Sciences. And he has won innumerable awards. I'd like to sort of call out one unique recognition. In 2018, a new species of gecko was named after him. It's called Hemidactylus Vijay Raghavani. So that's very unique. I'd like to highlight three aspects of Professor Vijay Raghavan's thinking. His belief that technology should have a large societal impact, his passion for rural technologies and rural upliftment, and his love for looking at the evolution and history of sciences. In his writings and lectures, he has repeatedly pointed out the big four challenges that are upon us. The consequences of climate change, the pressures on biodiversity, the renewing of our air, water and land, and sustainable development with the democratization of opportunity. So I think it's highly appropriate that the AquaMAP is being inaugurated by Professor Vijay Raghavan. I welcome him to come up on stage. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, and great pleasure to see the IIT Madras Alumni Association take these important steps forward. So I thank the Alumni Association, its president and donors for everything. So congratulations to the team here, Dr. Liji Philip, and who are the rest of the team here. I think let me just point them out because they are really going to be doing the work. Professor Pradeep, Professor Muralidharan, Professor B.S. Murthy, Professor Balaji Narasimhan, Professor Sridhar Kumar and Professor Indumati Nambi. But let me just take on to the points which we heard just now from Mr. Krishnan Narayanan, and those are really the critical points which we need to look at, and they relate to our environment, our biodiversity, issues related to climate change and sustainable development. And if you are to address this, two things are needed. One is that we need to scale whatever we're doing. There's no point doing it right out of scale. And the other is to understand the complexity of what we're doing and the need to get various partners together to solve problems. That is the issue of addressing the tragedy of the commons. Why has this come about? The state we are in, it's a very simple one, simple statement. In economics, we are getting everything we want today at a very low cost of high quality because we're asking future generations to pay the cost of damages to the environment. So as long as we don't get that economics right, there's no great incentive to set the world right. We will be constantly talking about the need to do so, but will not have the engines to drive that change. The second point to keep in mind is that we came to the state because of a simple use of principles of thermodynamics. Indeed, the first industrial revolution coincided with the knowledge and understanding which came from thermodynamics translated into engines. But symbolically, what every industrial revolution has done has tried to extract material from the earth, have a cheap workforce and markets which are accessible without any attention to the environment. Now, as long as one does that, it is possible in Scandinavian countries, for example, or in Northern Europe, or in specific locations, to have an idyllic attention to the environment as long as the outside is going down the tubes. In other words, thermodynamically, you can have low entropy only if you have high entropy elsewhere and you're pumping it. That is a big challenge. Today's world, you are not allowed to exploit the environment anymore, hopefully. You are not allowed to damage the biodiversity. You need sustainable development, and you need to have attention to matters related to climate change. So thermodynamically, how are you going to address these problems when you're not allowed to ravage units outside a closed domain? And this is the big challenge. Of course, to do this, multiple aspects are needed. One is access to energy, which is non-damaging to the environment. And in my view, solar, renewable energy, nuclear power all need to be explored in a manner which have minimal damage. That itself is a big challenge. It's not that just because you have solar energy, you're causing no damage to the environment. There are huge challenges of various kinds. Now, it's possible by the very technologies which led us to this situation to address the other problems related to sustainable development, loss of biodiversity, matters of climate change, and so on. And this is possible if energy is available. There are many technologies available which can scale in a manner which can address this situation without substantially reducing standards of living. Indeed, by allowing increase in standards of living of large parts of our population. Why is that? Power supply is more readily available. New kinds of motors and drives, dramatic changes which have taken place in the power transistor, many of which have been appreciated greatly on this campus at IIT Delhi, allow the motoring through low energy use of devices which earlier consumed a large amount of power. And the internet, of course, allows connectivity. And therefore, it's theoretically possible now to have situations where local economies are sustainable and high-end work can be done in a distributed manner, such as with design, allowing creation of wealth and standards of living. All this is feasible, but this requires great coordination and great courage. And typically, it also requires changing from current situations, which is not easy. We have been fed on the ease of getting fossil fuel energy, and we have been fed on other kinds of sugar and fat, which make us used to a current situation and its messiness, rather than change for something which will be through a troublesome time. So that, therefore, centers such as this, the centers of excellence, which go through all the ecosystem of ecological services, water sources, water quality, treatment, supply, agriculture, recycling, wastewater and wastewater collections, are important, not because they demonstrate what can be done, but if they do so in an exemplary manner and have a detailed playbook on how it was done, it is scalable in other contexts. And therefore, this is something which you mentioned very clearly, that you'll have a ready reckoner and toolkit for management practices and technologies. That is critical. Everything which is done, if it's documented, available, then it can scale by other autonomous enterprises of this kind not only in different contexts in India, but different contexts all over the world. There's a major Jal Shakti mission to deliver water on tap to every village. That's addressing the demand issue. Similar missions have been started in the supply side, looking at aquifers, water supply, and so on. But they need to be coordinated with, water supply in our rivers, our floodplains, cleaning the rivers. So it's a huge task. And it's a task which, if you actually analyze, it looks impossible to achieve. But if you keep in mind what has happened over the last 70, 80, 90 years in Europe and North America, where rapid industrialization resulted in some of the filthiest rivers and most toxic contexts, that required great courage and time and effort to change those. It took many decades to change it. We can, it still needs time, but we can make these changes relatively faster now getting together. Thank you very much.
Sir, I request you to...
Oh, I'm sorry, I was supposed to inaugurate. Where's the web page?
The web page
Oh.
as well.
It's from here?
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll just introduce the projects to be launched. The first is water and soil quality analysis, creation of a digital twin of the village for environmental management. This is led by Professor Pradeep, and it will be in Nalampatti Panchayat Town, Erode district of Tamil Nadu. The automatic control of rural water supply schemes, Professor Sridhar Kumar Narasimhan and Professor Shankar Narasimhan. So the second project, well, I'll repeat. The first is on water and soil quality analysis, creation of a digital twin of the village for environmental management. The investigator is Professor T. Pradeep at Nalampatti Panchayat Town, Erode district, Tamil Nadu. The second is the automatic control of rural water supply schemes, Professor Sridhar Kumar Narasimhan and Professor Shankar Narasimhan, Padur and Pandishwaram in Tiruvallur district, Tamil Nadu. The third is improvement in water, wastewater and solid waste management for a clean and healthy village, Professor Liji Philip and Professor B.S. Murthy, Vallipuram district, Chengalpattu district, Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being with us today and for all the support that you've given us so far. I invite Professor T. Pradeep I invite Professor Kamakoti to present Professor Vijayaraghavan with a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. I invite Professor T. Pradeep to deliver the vote of thanks.
Well, Professor Vijayaraghavan, Professor Kamakoti, and my dear friends, water is so big that one course, 10 courses, and a lifetime of courses will not be enough to talk about it. But I have a minute to talk about water and then a minute to thank our colleagues here. If you take a picture, well, people have taken a picture from space as Voyager went past Uranus and looked back and took a picture of the solar system. And that picture at one side of whatever the Voyager could see of the sky, we saw Earth. And what was seen was a blue dot. And this picture is called the pale blue dot. From that distance, 250 million kilometers away, on this planet, we can only see water. And water, therefore, is big. And of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, 16 of them talk about water in one way or the other. So no effort is enough to ensure that water for all, not only for all of us, but the entire life forms is realized. And therefore, what is going on right now with Jal Jeevan Mission and all the other missions must continue. Institutions like ours, when we develop technologies in the course of my own engagement with water, I have realized the importance of management and policy. And Krishnan and Bala, at one point in time, something like a year ago, came and talked about the need to support such an initiative or initiate such an initiative with the exciting alumni engagement model. We were all for it, and I'm so glad that it has just been launched with Liji holding its helm. And when she holds something, it will get done, and I'm so happy that things are happening. And we have just launched 4 projects, and more projects will happen. One particularly important thing is that model that we talked about. And we need to expand this to other IITs, other institutions, wherever our alumni are. And that is, although you are an investigator, you are truly an investigator, you must be participating in this on a daily basis. Professor Vijayaraghavan, we are thankful to you for your time, your advice, and the advice you have been giving to Jal Jeevan Mission and all the missions of the country. Thank you. And Professor Kamakoti is always with us, and of course, his enthusiasm for villages, all of us know very much. Alumni as a whole is the essence of this, and I should thank Bala for his timely gesture and connecting with all the people. Krishnan, now that he is the president of Alumni Association, he has more roles to play, and in fact he is bringing several alumni to connect with IIT Madras. And it's not IIT Madras, this kind of engagement is happening because of many of you, and when we have deans of this kind, and I see 2 deans, or 3 deans, and 4 deans, and 5 deans. So all of these deans around, we can only go higher and higher, and more alumni engagement models should happen in other areas of activity. And one example is Mr. Krishnan sitting here. I'm used to saying everyone as professor and doctor, as we all do. Well, thank you, Chris, for being here. That's all that I should say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Pradeep.